Good seeing you again. The most important stuff you're going to need to make something that hang are these little rings. Because these rings, we use them to put your parts onto each other. Which means, if I've got two parts and I want them to join, I'm going to have to join them with a little ring. So the most used part that you're going to need when doing wire art, or hanging wire art at least, are rings, little rings. And I use a lot of them. A lot. So let me start by showing you how easy it is to make these little rings. So the first thing we're going to need, or maybe let's say this, that you're going to have to decide what size ring you need. So I've got two pieces here. This is a piece of copper pipe. I made a little hole in there. I'll show you in a moment what that is for. And then I've got a metal peg, a little smaller than that one there. I think, let me zoom in a little bit, then I can show you exactly what's going on. So as I was saying, you're going to need a lot of rings, quite a bit. I've got different sizes and different thicknesses, so it all depends on what weight you want to hang. Parts like these that I've made is not heavy, but you can make heavier parts. Some parts tend to get heavier. So the longer your parts thingy is going to be, let's for instance say you've got 4 thingies hanging here, 4 parts hanging there, and on there you've got another couple, and here you've got say one like this and one like that. The main thing is, the more you hang, the heavier it gets. So the thicker your rings must be. There's a couple of thicknesses that works very well. That one there. If you go thinner with a thinner piece of cable, if you go with your thinner rings, you can see the thickness of the wire is different. It's a good idea to make your rings smaller, much smaller, then they are stronger. They can carry more weight. Because the bigger your rings, even if you have thick wire, the bigger the rings, the easier they are to open. You see what I'm saying? So even if you've got a thick wire, you still have potential for it to bend open. But it's gonna take quite some weight to get it bended open. Right, but enough with the parts. Let's start with the rings. Let me show you how easy it is to make rings. I've made rings. I've made millions and millions and millions of rings. Alright, so first of all, you're gonna have to get yourself these. Now in order to get those coil springs, you're going to either use a peg like this, or you're going to use a pipe. Let me start with the pipe. The reason why I've made that little hole there is to hook my wire. I hook it in, especially when it comes to your thicker wire that you want to do. Let's do this. If you've got like thick wire like this one, and you want to make bigger rings, you're going to twist it around the pipe or peg or whatever you've got that works for you. Something like that. See? This is where your pliers come in. You're going to clip off that little end there. There you've got another coil. Some extra rings. That is with the thicker wire. When it comes to your thinner wire, which I find is a bit easier to work with, because now here you can hold it with your thumb and you can start winding it. I'm making a lot of noise now, but I'm going to just wind it up quickly so that you can see. Easy. Just carry on winding until you've run out of peg space or wire, or both. So the closer you wind them, those winds, the closer you wind them, the neater your rings will be. Yeah, you say there is easier ways you can go buy them. You can go buy them, yes. But what I found is that the copper wire rings is not that, you can't find them everywhere. Very scarce to find them. So we talked about the side cutters last time. If you want to know what we said, if it's your first time here, go look at the video, tools needed. So what I'm going to do now, I'm gonna start making my rings. So I'm gonna just start there. I'm just gonna clip it. You can use different side cutters. It all depends on what tools you have. It does take some time. I've seen some other side cutters the other day. It's more like a front cutter. It works very well. I saw that. I've used it before, but I don't have one. So I'm just using my side cutters. If you are using a bigger side cutter like this, it's also good. The only problem is you can't get in. If your rings are small, you won't be able to get in there. You see there, in there. So if you've got like small rings, you won't be able to reach it inside there to clip it. That's the only thing. When it comes to your thicker wire, you're going to need the bigger side cutters, for sure. Because it's thicker wire, it's harder to clip. Let's just do this quickly. There we go. And there we go. So even if you end up with one odd one like that, you can still use it. You can still make a smaller ring. It doesn't have to be thrown away, but there you are. Yeah, I've got, chuck that away. Yeah, I've got different sizes. Those are the ones, and there's some. Let me give you an example. Like these small rings, there's no way I'm going to get a big side cutters in that little hole. There's no way. That's why I've got two side cutters. The smaller one. The smaller one is for my smaller rings, and the bigger one is for the bigger rings. So, because I use a lot of rings, and I'm sure you will too, I think to have a lot of rings on hand, because you can go try it out. I just know that when I start assembling my parts, I realize that, oh, I need more rings. On some of the stuff that I've made, I've used hundreds of rings, hundreds of little rings. And you know, it does take time to make them, it does. But once you've got your coil springs, you can wind up some coil springs. Once you've got some coils, it goes fast. It's quick. You can just sit and clip them whenever you've got time or feel like it. Get your ring stock. You need a lot of stock. You need a lot of rings. You really need them. As you can see here, I've got some, but I've used most of mine, so I don't have a lot. I don't have that much left. So while we're at it, while I'm talking to you guys, let me make some more rings. What's nice about having rings on hand is that when you've got inspiration or an idea of something, then you've got spares available. The most important thing of wire art is assembling your stuff. Some stuff don't need assembling. I mean, you can make parts from all different kinds of stuff. But in my case, I like making this little hanging stuff. They look nice, they sell easy, like wind chimes kind of stuff. And I've sold so many of them. There we go. So when it comes to your parts, let's grab something nice here, just to give you an idea. So I've made this other little part the other day. I'll show you how it's done. So for this one, let's use a big ring. And we put the big ring in there. Let's use a smaller one here. You see, now is where your pliers comes in, your long nose pliers, because you can either use 2 pliers or you can use your long nose plier. If you've got, I won't say strong hands, but if you've got some grip in your thumb and your forefinger, it's easy to bend them. That's why I like working with the copper wire, because it's just a bit softer to work with. It's a lot softer to bend open and bend close again. It's a lot easier to work with it. There we go. I don't even have to put this here. But once you start assembling your stuff, you will get very nice ideas. But as I was saying, you know, rings, you use a lot of rings. And for me, to have rings on spare is always a good thing. I like having a lot of spares on rings, because here already I've used 5 rings just for that section there. And I've only just started. I've only just started. My suggestion to you would be, go make some rings. Go get some rings ready because you're going to need a lot. Once you start, you don't want to stop halfway and say, my rings are finished. Now I've got to make some rings. Go make some rings. While you make some rings, while you add it, save it up. And I tell you what, the next time we can start by making some parts, some interesting parts that we can use for our stuff here. You can start by that. I can show you how I do that. Very easy. I think go make some rings in the meantime. And we take it from there. I'm just assembling some of the parts so that we are able to count the rings. As you can see, I'm using my long nose pliers. It makes bending the rings open and close so much easier, and it makes it just comfortable to work with. I've already made some different parts, so some of the parts that I have made, I'm just putting them all together here, just choosing one or two, just for something small. The most important thing is to have enough rings to work with, because as you can see, it depends on the length of the space between your parts. I usually call my parts fillers between my rings, because the rings makes a difference, you know. It's usually nice to have different sizes of rings to assemble your parts. There's all the parts. Let's count the rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Quite a few. 27 rings used. So if you can find anything helpful in the video, please give it a like right there. While you're at it, subscribe. Next time, I'm going to show you how to make a couple of parts, how to combine parts. But for now, we'll get some rings. Have fun. Ciao.